This is the French Char 2C super heavy tank, and it's a beast. Kind of looks like something out of Command & Conquer Red Alert if you ask me, but this thing was actually real. It also happens to feature in a Battlefield teaser that was recently posted on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. It's a short video and it's only 15 seconds long, but that's more than enough to get a glimpse of the tank and the sheer size of it, as well as a glimpse at our next elite class. More on that in a second, as well as plenty of other pieces of Battlefield news that I thought you guys might find interesting. But first, the new Behemoth. Let's talk about it. In March, the first DLC releases for BF1, and we already know that it's a French-based DLC, and in fact, we've also seen some concept art, so we do have a rough idea of what direction the DLC will take as a whole and what the maps are going to look like. We even know that DICE wants to create a set of maps that captures the massive French tank assaults that happened in World War I, and so enter the Char 2C super heavy tank. Let's take a look at the real life version first. It was made in 1917 during the First World War, but it wasn't actually deployed until after the war. So again, it's a bit of a prototype and DICE are taking a few liberties there, but you know what, I'm completely okay with it. It's a massive tank, it's really cool. In physical dimensions, it was the largest operational tank ever made. Let me throw some stats at you. It weighed 69 tons, it was 3 meters wide, 4 meters tall and 10 meters long. Now that is a big tank, but put that into context, it's roughly the same length, width and weight as a modern M1 Abrams, so this probably isn't going to be full behemoth size, and as such it's more likely to be a new standard tank variant, unless of course they've scaled it up. I was thinking at first that maybe this was going to be a new type of behemoth, but a few months ago I actually did a video trying to guess what the next behemoth would be, and I actually predicted the German K-Wagon. It's far bigger, double the width in fact, 3 meters longer, it weighs more, and if we're going to add in another behemoth, then I guess that would seem to be the more logical choice. It's possible that we may see the Char 2C added in as a new French tank and the K-Wagon as the behemoth, and that would make sense considering what we said earlier, that DICE wanted to capture the massive French tank assaults, and while the 2C super tank is big, it's not really behemoth big, is it? Okay, so let's imagine or assume that they also add in the K-Wagon, the German tank, for a minute, but perhaps just consider that the 2C could be a behemoth as well. We have to assume that you'll be able to move it wherever you want to, just like a normal tank. The airship can be manoeuvred wherever you want, as can the Dreadnought, but obviously that's got the disadvantage of being restricted to water. Dreadnoughts don't have legs, unfortunately, but that would be pretty cool. The train, on the other hand, is of course on rails, literally. If we were to have a tank behemoth though, it will be the first behemoth that will potentially be able to move anywhere on land and cause some real issues and have a massive impact on the game. That being said, I think it's also safe to assume that you won't be able to repair it as the driver, nor have it repaired by any support players, because that just wouldn't really work in my opinion. Also, how much health will it realistically have? It's got to be able to withstand grenades, rocket guns, turrets and other tanks, airplanes without being instantly killed, but still have a few weaknesses so players at least feel that they can work together to take the damn thing down. Of course, this is still just guesswork. We don't know if the K-Wagon, which I mentioned, will ever see the light of day in the game, but you've got to assume that this would be a fantastic time to add it considering the type of map design that they're going for. And like I said, the Char 2C could be the new behemoth, but is it really big enough? Just adding a footnote here, imagine, thinking a bit left field again, that the French faction gets the Char 2C as their behemoth, but the Germans get the K-Wagon as their behemoth. So depending which side you're on and which side is losing, it's going to spawn in a different type of behemoth, or maybe we're going to get a situation where both teams can have a behemoth and we're going to get Char 2C versus K-Wagon on Battlefield 1. Now, in my head, I'm thinking, wow, that's going to be incredible, because you'll have normal tanks and normal vehicles and airplanes dropping bombs on the battlefield just like usual, but in between and in the midst of all that chaos, you could also have a K-Wagon, the German K-Wagon, versus the French Char 2C Super Ultra Mega Tank, and that sounds like something that I would love to see on the battlefield and I would love to take part in. Just imagine the trailers and the cinematics for a second, and I think if they go down that route, I'm not saying that they will, I don't know, I don't have any information any more than you guys do, but that's really going to bring a bit of a wow factor back to the game in the first DLC. As well as the Char 2C, we also got a glimpse of a new player model that could be one of two things. It's either a new elite class, and I think that's probably the most likely, or after a bit of research, I think it could be a French tanker player model. What about this? Maybe the new elite class is some kind of tanker based role. The guy's wearing goggles, armour and a protective wear that seems consistent with a tanker class. My initial thought process was that it's maybe some sort of melee based elite class character because of the spike club or the mace that he's holding, and I'm getting a bit of a grenadier vibe, although I don't really want any more explosives in the game, please. But after a bit of thought, I'm not really sure that that would work anyway. Having a melee grenadier elite class that's got to get close up to do any damage, he's just going to get riddled with bullets before doing anything major, and that's just going to get frustrating. And for a second, let's just think outside the box about elite classes and suppose that if this is a tanker elite class, maybe he has the ability to direct the new massive tanks around. Of course, right now we can't say for sure exactly what this guy is or what he does, but thanks to a YouTuber called Flakfire, he also pointed out something very interesting that I hadn't noticed. Go check him out if you haven't already, and I've linked his video down below about this very topic. He does all sorts of history and Battlefield 1 stuff. Very good YouTuber. Now, he pointed out that the character seems to be wearing a red trousers, which French soldiers initially wore during the war, and that pretty much strengthens the fact that this is a French tanker character. At least that seems to be the most likely case. Is it an elite class though? I think yes it is, but we'll just have to find out. As well as that new DLC teaser, we got some other cool stuff recently as well. DICE has been quietly testing passworded servers, trying to fill them up to make sure it's working as intended. I know we all wanted those at launch, but it feels like perhaps between now and the first DLC, we may be finally given the power to password protect our rented servers. And on the topic of rented servers, DICE have also been testing in-game admin controls. DICE producer Alexander Hassoun recently showed off a screenshot of the in-game pause menu with an added option called server admin. He was looking for feedback as to what people would like to be able to control on the fly, so the good news is that it looks like it's moving in the right direction, and we should hopefully soon be able to both password protect our servers and control them from within the game. That would be a huge step forward for the rent a server program, and for those communities who want to rent their own unofficial servers. There's a bit of buzz at the moment as well on Twitter. You can kind of get a feeling if you follow some of the DICE devs and listen to what they have to say in their conversations. I think something big is coming for Battlefield. I don't know what that is, but I reckon there's a lot of stuff that DICE and EA have been hiding from us, and hopefully we're going to get a big announcement pretty soon. In other news, the Back to Basics game mode that recently got added into the game is staying. New custom game modes are added in and rotated out, and because of its popularity, Back to Basics is going to stay put as a permanent game mode. It's actually really good and changes up the gameplay a lot. It's essentially a tweaked version of standard issue rifles that you may have also played recently. It's a variant of Conquest with no automatic weapons, and you only have access to standard issue bolt action rifles. No scopes and also no vehicles or elite classes. I'd say it's a much more traditional World War I experience, and you've really got to concentrate on your aim and movement. It makes the whole thing a bit more tactical, if you ask me. Not only that, but you can only use your faction's own weapons, so no using the Gewehr for example on the British force. Amiens, Empire's Edge, Giant Shadow, Monte Grappa and Sinai Desert are the 5 maps that you can play it on. And currently there's a new mode in the rotation called Bleed Out, and it's a version of Rush where downed soldiers get a faster respawn time and regenerating health is turned off. It's not very good if you ask me, I don't really enjoy it that much. And lastly for today, some interesting esports news. At the beginning of January, DICE have made a new posting for an esports related job called a Competitive Gaming Commissioner. Sounds very important, doesn't it? But it also means that there are some real steps being taken place to properly cater for esports and competitive gaming within Battlefield going forward. There's been a lot of buzz around this lately. The job posting will place someone in a position to both liaise with the community and define what the game needs to be a good competitive game. Maybe not in BF1, we'll see, perhaps in future titles, we don't know, but regardless, it's good to see that not only is this being taken seriously, but a job is being created specifically to look after it. Very interesting times at the moment for Battlefield, and I expect that in the next couple of weeks we're going to get our first proper trailer for the new DLC in March, because I really think that the game needs some fresh maps and weapons just to bring some new content and newness back into the game. Right then, that's all for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this little look at the DLC and updates, various bits and bobs going on. Do let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button, that would be incredible. Now, I want to start doing a little segment at the end of these commentary style videos where I shout out other videos in the Battlefield community, because there's a lot of fantastic, talented people out there that maybe don't have the same kind of outreach as the other big Battlefield content creators do, and I think that's a shame because they can put out some really good stuff. So today I'm going to shout out a video called Battlefield 1 Real Life by a YouTube channel called Hive Division, and this is an absolutely fantastic mashup of real footage and like After Effects and CGI stuff on top. It's a brilliant video and I've linked it down in the description below if you want to go and check it out. It's definitely worth your time and you'll be like, damn, that's good. If you're a BF1 player, you'll recognise it and you'll definitely love it. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.